This is so easy. You could literally just make these and nothing else for the rest of time and sell them and probably pay all your bills and make a living off of this. So take out some 20 gauge wire, pliers, maybe round nose, not necessary, and cutters, and any 6mm beads. You could do 8mm too. You could probably do 4mm. The 6 is really one of the nicest sizes. That's it. These cute little amethysts are adorable, wouldn't you agree? All the links to this stuff is in the description, and I'll put it in the first comment under the video too. So click on them and buy this stuff because it's so inexpensive and you can make so many pieces so fast. This is so easy. I haven't even practiced and I haven't done this in a couple years, but I think take about a foot to be on the safe side. We're probably going to use less. That's like 27 centimeters. Bring the bead to the middle of the wire, roughly. It doesn't have to be perfect. And give it a crimp, 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 going opposite ways. And then just keep pulling really tight, as hard as you can. Just keep wrapping this around. This works great with 18 gauge too. When I usually made these independents, I'd use 18 gauge because it's a little stronger. But it's better to start out with 20 gauge if you want to build up your finger strength and get used to it. So I'm wrapping this as many times as you want. You can really wrap it good and it cover up like half of the bead if you want to make like a cool swirl pattern around it, kind of cuffing it. But that's good enough for me. So when you get to the part where you feel like it's good enough, pinch it right here, and now we're gonna go, we were going this way, now we're gonna go backwards, and that's the key, is you just keep switching direction. So grab it right here, pull it backwards, and pull it all the way around like this, and you get this nice, cute little loop. Now you can separate them if you only pull one at a time, and that will make like a cool kind of space in between, which is nice. So I'm going to separate them a little bit by pulling that inner one first, and I'm going to bring the outer one around, and then I'm going to pinch this to hold that spot, and I'm coming around, and I'm going to overkill a little bit, come around, and again, to get nice smooth curves, you want to pull from way back in the wire. You don't want to, if you pull up close, sometimes you get more wonkier corners. You want perfectly smooth curves, you pull from way back. So you get it about the size you want, that's good. I'm going to overextend it, and then I'm going to pinch it right here and go backwards the other way now. And you could keep going up and up like this. You could keep going woo and make swirls going all the way up, but I'm just going to make two. Two is enough for me. So now I'm pinching this real tight too. You also don't want these wires to wrap. They'll keep wanting to wrap around themselves and tangle. You want to pinch real tight to keep them flat and side by side. So I want, this is my biggest part, then this is slightly smaller, then this is going to be even smaller. So I'm going to pinch it and kind of pulling the inner, whoops, that's the outer one. I'm pulling the inner one, again, pinching it and rolling it. There's a lot of rolling here to get it tight. So you like roll it. And if you're using heavier wire, you can take your pliers and hold it sideways and roll it like that. But it's best to use your hands when you don't need the pliers, because your hands are not going to scratch. The pliers are a little rougher. But I'm pulling the inner one even more, and I'm bringing that one around, and I want it pulled in a little tighter, so I'm going to roll it even deeper like that. And you can also go backwards if, oh, that's a little too tight. I want it out a little bit. Pull it back the other way. And there we go. Right when you get it the way you want. Okay, I'm done. That's cute the way it is, but I'm going to make a top loop. So I'm going to put these two together, and again, reversing direction. Now we're going this way and making the top loop of this whole piece. And again, I want it to gradually get smaller as it goes up. You can do it any way you want. You can go smaller, fatter, and then skinnier, or you can have it reverse, where it's skinny at the bottom and then they get fatter and fatter and fatter, like an upside down triangle. Does not matter. Anyway, this loop, all I need this to do is hold the earring hook. I don't even need it to be double. So I'm going to make this one quite smaller, and I'm going to make this last one, I'm going to take my round nose and I'm going to pinch them and really roll them really tight like that. And then I'm going to stretch these out sideways, and I'm going to hold this flat, and I'm going to use this to make a little scarf here like this. And this time the scarf is going backwards. Usually the scarf rolls up across the face of the top loop, but kind of going down over here, and I just need to make enough of a scarf that I have somewhere to tuck it. So where am I going to tuck it? There's a bit of a bowl right there that I made just from that little bit of scarf. So I'm going to pull this up so I can tuck the tabs right in that little part. Just give myself little tabs, just enough to hook them in. Careful, don't shoot the wire at yourself. Some of these cutters will either close your eyes or make sure you're wearing glasses, because you'll shoot little bits of wire right at your face, and that could be dangerous. You want to take your time to make these tabs just the right size. If they're too big, it's going to be hard. They're going to be wonky. If they're too small, you're not going to be able to get them in. So I'm actually messing with this real carefully, pinching that part of the scarf. And I'm going to actually cut the tiniest little bit one more time. Closing my eyes. And then I'm going to grab both of these and just try to muscle them in. And then I'm going to come back like this and pull a little more. And then I'm going to come over the top like this and pinch them the rest of the way into the tuck. Careful, because I don't want to slip and scratch the pretty silver. And I think that's good. Voila. And that's it. That's our earring. This could be a pendant. Turn this way and just put a thin chain through it. Make the loop a little bigger if you need a thicker chain, but you got a pendant right there. But these make really cute earrings, and especially if you're using 20 gauge, which is a little thinner, because earrings don't get beat up as much. Earlobes are sensitive, so you can make earrings out of more delicate things, as opposed to necklaces get beat up like crazy. They're bouncing around. Every time you hug someone, it gets squished. They get caught on buttons and fabric. Now, even after you're done, you can play with these loops. You can get your fingernails in here, and you can fan these out more if you want them to be more dramatic. This time, I'm going to make the base much wider. So I'm going to start pinching right here, and I'm not going to roll it as tight. There's like a careful balance between too tight and too loose, and you find that balance through practice and pressure. You want to put a good amount of pressure and care, but see how I'm starting to get this wide frame around it, and I'm going to keep that frame going for a little bit, and then I'm going to come back to my first big loop. Notice these don't match. This has one big loop, and then the top, this has two smaller loops in the top, but they're about the same size and weight, so they work as earrings. This one, all I did was thread in a smaller bead and then a smaller bead into the inner of the two strands. So whatever strand ended up being in the inner one, but you got to be careful. You thread the bead through while the wire's still straight. Once you start bending the wire, it's much harder to get the bead through. And for 4mm, you got to make sure you have a bead that actually has a hole big enough. That's a little bit more rare, but not impossible to find.
Operator, what's the number? I've been trying all night long. Make connection with my baby. If I can't, I'll just go mad. I know she loves me 'cause she tells me all the time. I believe in what she says, but can't believe the things she's done. Operator, what's the problem? Get me through or I'll go mad. Alone in this empty room once again, wondering what she's doing with the other man. Free from the shackles of love. Free me, just let me be free from the shackles of love.